All right, guys, we're back for another edition. You're not tired of us yet. Another edition of the From the Pink Seats podcast. A little bit of a change of pace. Jacob Lane not in with us tonight. We do have Matthew McGavick. We have Vince Lococo on with us. And of course, if you've been following at all on Louisville football Twitter or football Twitter in general, you probably come across this guy, GFed. GFed go crazy on, I believe it's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Am I correct on that? Beautiful,
Yup.
beautiful. So GFed, he's the inventor, he's the creator, the originator of the Walk On Challenge. And his Louisville edition of the Walk On Challenge is his third most viewed video on TikTok, with I believe the last time I checked, like 3.6 million viewers. So GFed is blown up across the world on social media. GFed, what's going on, man? Welcome in.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And I'm having a pretty good chill Friday night. Believe it or not, I'm actually in my home base of Chicago. It's been a good change of pace after being on the road for a little bit, but ready to chop up some ball, meet a few new guys, and have a good evening.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, what a Chicago introduction. Like I've watched so many of your videos, and I've always kind of wondered, like, okay, like, is this guy, does he have like a, there's bias, there's implicit biases everywhere, right? Like, is he a Big Ten guy? Is this an SEC guy? Like immediately, like as soon as you started talking, I was like, all right, he's Northwestern territory for sure. Like maybe like a little Illini territory. So home base is where you are, because that's the first question I had for you. Where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Where in the world is GFed this evening? So we're back home in Chicago. I guess just start us off a little bit with, you kind of blew up a little bit in the Louisville Twitter sphere. Like, every fan base has a different social media that's a little bit more popular. For Louisville, Louisville Twitter is huge. Louisville X is huge. And so that's kind of where you kind of gain some traction from our point of view. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into this, and how did you end up basically, ultimately kind of making a quasi career out of? I'm not going to say breaking into, but visiting stadiums.
Yeah, for sure. And like you're saying, definitely the most Midwest at my core person. I actually lived in Washington State for a little bit prior to going to Chicago for my first job out of college, and I knew immediately, like, I'm way too Midwest for that. Like, this is where I belong for sure. But yeah, I'm born and raised in Michigan. Been living in Chicago the last year and a half. But as far as like the walk on challenge and just my content developing in the way that it has, um, it is something I did kind of stumble into. So I started making content, like, I've been on all the apps for a long time, like anybody else, but I started like making content seriously in March of 2023. So just making content in general, I'm still fairly new with. Um, and I was actually doing a lot of like green screen stuff, talking about mostly basketball, mostly college basketball, actually. And I was just on this path where I was dedicated to just growing a little bit of a following for myself, taking it one day at a time and being consistent about it. And I was seeing decent results, nothing that was, I thought was going to get me to being like almost at 300,000 followers now, but pretty decent results to have like a little community for myself. And I just had a work trip one of these days. I did travel for my former job prior to this a decent amount, and I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I had to go from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Steamboat Spring, Colorado after the workday, meet up with my boss in Steamboat. Um, and I just ran into an evening where I didn't have the time to do like the research and the editing it would take for my regular scheduled programming at that time. Prior to the walk on challenge, just like a lot of people that follow college football or really any sports in general, you see a stadium, you see on TV all the time, you've never been to it, you want to check it out. I've done that quite a bit prior to even putting it online. And that was just kind of my idea for, honestly, at that time, filler content for me. I was like, I'm going to pass by Laramie, Wyoming, and haven't seen Wyoming before. So let's just film what I find out and post it. So I did that. That exceeded my expectations quite a bit. I had a lot of people asking to see me do this at all sorts of different places. And with a full-time job at the time, being a regular person, I was like, I haven't made a video about it. I was like, this is, probably not in the cards for me, but I could do a few things. So I got back to Chicago after that trip on the weekend. Perfect weekend for that because my girlfriend was out of town, so I could, focus on content all damn
There you
weekend.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I was thinking, like I want to do more videos like this since this did so well. I can't go, from like Ohio to Florida to Arizona and back around, but I can go to Northwestern really easily. So I went to Northwestern, did a video there. That video did really well as well for, having 2,000 followers at the time. So that video dropped. I actually got a haircut right after that. And then I kind of checked my phone after getting a haircut and saw how well it did. And at this point, it was like probably 1 p.m. And I had my whole day kind of like slated up to catching up on content after a work trip. And I'll never forget, I texted my girlfriend that afternoon. I was like, I'm going to do something really crazy right now. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm going to drive to Champaign and back and just see what facilities I can walk into at University of Illinois and just come back for the day. And that's how I spent my Saturday. That video did really well. That put me at 3 for 3. I went to Notre Dame the next day. Went back home to Michigan for some more content the weekend after that. And the more the views just kept coming and coming, the further and further I expanded my reach. I think I ended up getting to Louisville. I need to be better about that.
I love it. I love it.
I got to Louisville. I think that ended up being like video 6 or 7 on the walk-on challenge, but definitely still one of my most viewed ones. So, and also the one that, I feel like got taken really seriously with Louisville football, got picked up on Twitter, got me growing on another platform too. So that one's always going to hold a special place in my heart. And still to this day, there hasn't been a fan base that's, rallied around me quite like the Cards have. So love showing the love and support in return.
I remember
as well.
seeing your videos on TikTok starting to pop up and I'm like, oh, this is sweet. And I'm thinking, well, it's really easy to get on our stadium and into our stadium if you were to doing what you were doing. And I'm like, it's only a matter of time before he makes his way down to Louisville and realizes how easy it is to just walk onto our field and get into our whole facility. Man, for me, I guess I got to ask, like, how many more basketball arenas are we going to be getting here in the near future? Is like whenever you run out of football stuff, are you going to shift your focus to basketball and other sports like hockey and see where all you can,
man, honestly, like, I mean, I've done basketball videos and they do okay. I've had some pretty big ones with like the Blue Bloods or like Indiana or Kentucky, but most of them, like the views just haven't been stacking up for football, like the football ones do. So really for me, I'm just, going where my audience wants me to go more than anything. And if they like the football content the most, they're going to get mostly football content. But I'm a college basketball guy. Like I'm one of those weird like college sports fans where like I would prefer my team to win March Madness over winning like the college football playoff. So like it's not because I'm not interested in college basketball. I just, doing this full time now, I just kind of do it. It's best for views, and that seems to be college football is where I really got my stronghold on that with my followers.
So now that content creation is something that you're more so focused on and something that's doing full time, like what does an average like week or month look for you? Like how many videos are you producing? Like what's the day in the life or a week in the life of GFed look like in terms of content creation, content planning, and all that good stuff?
A mess. Just a big sloppy mess, man. Yeah. So I mean, like the big thing for me right now is like, I mean, making the best content possible is always going to be priority number one. And to do that, opportunities come pretty quick. I think I'm finally to a point where I have a little bit of a lead time to, iron out some of these opportunities. But as things were like moving really, really fast back in like August, September, when I went from like, I think I went from 8,000 followers to 108 in like 2 weeks. So like back then it's like I got an invitation to like do a video at game day, like college game day. I had an invitation to go to like Friday beers, which was like a huge thing for me at that time. So like I was just looking for kind of the best opportunities possible and balancing that with the work schedule that was full time as well. So that was just a whole giant mess. But now since I am fully focused on this, my goal, and it doesn't always work out like this, but when I'm traveling, I'm
Right.
trying to do 2 videos a day on the road so that I can come back home and post like the second half of the videos I didn't post when I was traveling while I'm at home, so I can have some semblance of a normal life. Um, so that's kind of the pace that I'm running at right now. But as far as like planning the trips out in advance, like I couldn't tell you where I'm going to be at like 3 weeks from now, straight up.
I do
So,
wonder.
Is that what you love the most about what you're doing right now? Is kind of
oh
like just
no,
the sporadicness? No, I would love
no,
that.
I
I would
I
be
would
like, hey, I don't know where I'm gonna be, but I fucking love it.
I would much prefer to have a more ironed out schedule, 100%.
Same.
Like
Same.
yeah, I'm rolling with the punches now, and I know the grind is like paying off, and that's why I'm doing it. But yeah, I'm hoping that at some point we're gonna iron this out a little bit more and have some structure. And not only for my sake, but I think it'd just be a lot better for like the people that follow me too. Like every single video I post, I always get somebody that's like, "Man, I wish you were around and like I could have knew about this." And it's like, I wish I could too, but like if you kind of tell someone you're gonna like just show up to their campus and film wherever you can, like some campuses like that more than others. I don't want to roll the dice on that. So,
Yeah.
I usually kind of move in silence a little bit as I like, go from spot to spot. But now I got, some more schools reaching out to me to do like official tours, some more pro teams I'm working with. That should be able to give some headway of where I'm going to be and give my followers an opportunity to hang out with me for a bit too, which I'm looking forward to being in for as well.
Do
That's
you
awesome.
feel like it kind of influenced the way that things have gone for you when you post a video of Louisville's stadium, which on a whole is completely different than the vast majority of college football stadiums. But do you think it had some sort of influence on the way that your trajectory has gone when Louisville's official accounts are posting like, yeah, come back anytime, let's go, come back for the Notre Dame game, let's get you let's get you into some primetime seats, like anything, what was the interaction like with Louisville Twitter, and how much influence did that have on you when a more like official account was like, hell yeah, let's go?
Oh, a ton, a ton. I mean, the more I think the more I work with schools, the more it legitimizes what I'm doing. And it is a transition that I've planned on, taking this to. That's like what had me, in a position where I felt good about going full time. I think I'm in kind of my own lane right now where like I've built this following where I can, work with these teams and, build this out to be like the stadium tour guide, essentially. Um, so that's one thing. And as far as Louisville goes, um, they were huge. I
You're
mean,
slowly getting. I appreciate you catching yourself.
I was about to say
I'm trying.
my mom's my mom's a Miami native,
Oh
and
wow.
I won't divulge how old she is, but she's been here for 30 plus years, and she still says, to this day, she still says Louisville. So that's it's just a, you got to be born into it thing to understand. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
The
Go
the
ahead. I'm
way I
sorry.
always tell people is that you say Louisville like you got food in your mouth.
Yeah,
Louisville.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it
Works.
definitely takes some getting used to.
Yeah. But
But
anyways,
they've been huge though, man. I think that the biggest thing, like the TikTok video was great and like it was one of my better videos, but like I've had a fair amount of pretty good videos at this point there. But like what they did for me on Twitter and especially like in the content creator space, like building those followings on all sorts of different platforms is very, very critical. So them doing that on Twitter, get the ball rolling there, definitely went a long way for me as far as building that platform up a lot. So that I think that is the biggest thing for me as far as Louisville goes is what they did on Twitter for
We'll,
sure.
we'll get into the ACC championship game in just a second. I was there as
Yeah.
well, and I feel like the Louisville fan base at the ACC championship game was very emblematic of what Louisville's like on Twitter or at an actual Louisville game. What I mean by that is, I don't know, you're a third party, so you could maybe give a better number, but I'd say it was about 70-30 Florida State to Louisville fans. But I'd say the Louisville fans that were there were like super into the game, super passionate, super like over the top. Like that's kind of how we are, and that's kind of how like there's like this Louisville fan base. Like it's not a Florida State, it's not Clemson, it's not Kansas or Kentucky or whatever big name, a Texas, something like that. However, there's this kind of blue collar attitude where, and that's why it's so crazy on Twitter and so crazy on Instagram and all these social media platforms is like, yeah, there's not a lot of us, but like, the bark matches the bite, if you will. Like everybody that's a Louisville fan is like, there's a solid core of like 30,000-40,000 people that's like a diehard Louisville fan. It like doesn't miss a game, passionate, lives and dies by every play type of thing. So I don't know if you can attest to that at all from what you've seen. You've been to a lot of different places by now, but in my opinion, that Twitter fan base, that interaction, that following, now that you have that Louisville fan base behind you, I think that kind of changes the game a little bit, because you see, like, yeah, there's 70,000 Florida State fans, but they're doing the same, like, I just took a melatonin and I'm like droning on, oh. Whereas, like, for Louisville fans, it's like every single play is you're living or dying by that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the core community for Louisville is really good. I've been really impressed with that. And I think that like you guys, a lot of the reason it did, take off how it did on Twitter is, from what I've seen, especially on Twitter, is a lot of these schools like Louisville, like they like getting put on the map like that, because like, you guys do deserve it. And like a lot of the smaller schools do gravitate to what I'm doing even more so than like, the Florida States of the world that you mentioned. Like, I don't want to bash any fan bases, because I know a lot of them want to see me, but like, everyone knows, like,
there's one fan base you can bash. There's definitely
okay.
one. It's
I
not
will.
Florida State.
No, 100%, 100%, and I will, because I made the Kentucky video right after I made the Louisville video. Kentucky commented on my video, like Kentucky's like official athletics page, after I already had tickets to a Louisville football game from Louisville, and I was like, "All right, guys, like your rival got me football tickets. Like, what are we doing?" And crickets. So that was all I needed to get the ball rolling, to be on the Louisville side. They made it easy.
There you go.
Yeah, that was easy. But
So
yeah, no, go ahead.
What was your experience like? Did you get to do anything around Louisville while you were here, outside the tailgate or anything like that, or did you get to like just walk around trying to restaurants or bourbon?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't try too much around the city. It's just a big content day, big tailgate day. I actually did another podcast with Cardinal Sports Zone. I don't know if they're a rival of y'all's or allies of y'all, but I was with them for a bit. Then I actually linked up with Sky Clark. Sky Clark is a fan of the page, so I actually was with him for like probably an hour or so, honestly. So that was pretty cool. That was like my first time hanging with like a pretty high profile athlete. I'm far from that, so that was interesting. Great guy too. Love Scott.
I sold my books back with Donovan Mitchell before, like 3 weeks before the NBA draft. So we were like a year apart at Louisville, and we're going back, and all his books are just freshly wrapped, not even barely opened and everything. And I've got these old beat up books and shit, and I get like $100, and he gets like $350, and I'm like, dude, like let me hold like $20. You're about to get drafted for like whatever $1 million. Right. He's like, no, need this agent fees, man. Agent fees right now.
Agent fees.
So how does that come about? Did Sky reach out to you? Or was it just kind of something where you guys built like a mutual bond together? Like, how does that happen where you end up pairing up with Sky Clark?
So I actually I was doing some work with Sleepers Media, if you're familiar with them. They're a college basketball podcast, and Sky's been a fan of their page for a bit. And when I was working with them, when I told them I was going to Louisville, and they linked me up with Sky through their connection. And when I met Sky, we just kind of hit it off. So that's how that all went down.
That's awesome. I mean, what what was the experience like? Like, so did you guys meet up and ride to the game? Like, I think we saw the picture of you and Sky together, but what exactly happened when you guys linked up?
Pretty much exactly that. Just doing what anyone at the tailgate would be doing. He wasn't, have as many drinks as I was, of course, but yeah, he chauffeured me from the collision course over to the L&N Stadium, and then we just kind of strolled around a little bit, probably for another 45 minutes, talked to a few people, took a few pictures, and then he went with the basketball team. I went to film some more stuff, and that was kind of that.
So obviously you've been to a lot of stadiums. Where does L&N Stadium rank among other college football stadiums? Because I mean, it's one of the more underrated venues in all of the ACC and in college football, if you ask me.
Right, and that's a question that I just hate to answer. I'm not gonna lie, because like I feel like there's two categories as far as like the best college football stadiums, where you have like the nicest, which I think Louisville is very much in that conversation for being one of the nicest stadiums in college football. I think you'd have a hard time finding many that are nicer. But like also like comparing like L&N Stadium to the Shoe, like it's hard to be like, yeah, L&N Stadium is better than like the Shoe because like the Shoe's like kind of run down and like old, but like that's also kind of the appeal of it at the same time. So
Right.
I think as far as like the nicest stadiums in the country, yeah, I think Louisville's easily one of the best ones I've been to. I'd say in the top three for sure. But like the best, like that's just such a subjective term depending on like what you're looking for in a college football stadium. So that's a tough one.
Then since it is so subjective, I'll just ask this: what's been your favorite stadium to go to?
My favorite. I mean, yeah, I really don't have one that like stands out because like I feel like for me like it's a lot more about the experience that I have at the stadium than like the stadium itself that I remember more about it. Like I still think the video that always stands out to me that I remember is just like a crazy moment more than any of them was the Indiana video. Like Indiana is not like the best stadium that I've been to, but like that was right when like I was really like turning a corner, going from like I felt like going from being someone that just had like a hot couple weeks on TikTok to being like a certified creator. And that's when it kind of hit me because like I got into Louisville's locker room before a practice, and like players like knew me, and like that just hit different. I was because I go up to these players and I was just being nervous as hell. I'm just like, hey, someone just like let me in here. And I don't know where I'm supposed to be. And then one of the guys is just like, dude, I've seen you on TikTok. Like, do whatever you want to do here. And I was like, oh, I guess we could do a few things with this following now. Like that's kind of when it hit me.
That's
So
the funny thing is if you just act like you belong, like I guarantee you, whatever players you run into will know who you are because they all are on TikTok and social media and everything. So if you just act like you belong and blend in with the adults, you'll be, I mean, perfectly fine every time. You know what I mean? So,
and that video was in late July, I think it was in early August too. So like compared that to now, at this point, like humbly as possible, if I'm going to be going to a college campus like on a school day, like I'm going to get ran into and take a picture with somebody. Like it's tough to go incognito at this point. Like it's getting pretty hard.
you got to do like the fake mustache and stuff sometime too. You got to try that out.
I already got the real one. It would look even more like we'd have a fake one.
You gotta go like full.
That'd be even funnier. You pull up a fake mustache to reveal the real.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just go full beard next time you try to sneak in.
What's been the hardest one to get into so far? I remember one video where you tried multiple different doors and you got in through a sod facility. I think you saw the basketball stadium or basketball arena first, and then
Eastern Michigan. I got into their basketball arena, and then I got into football through their basketball arena. That was a huge video for me. That actually did more views in Louisville, believe it or not.
It took you so many tries just to get into.
Right.
There were so many different avenues, and the last door you tried was the one that ended up.
I think. I think the two that stand out to me where I was really like, if we're just including college, because the number one that stands out to me the most is still Soldier Field. I don't know how the fuck that happened. Uh, but yeah, just for college though, USC and the one I just posted for Ohio State like a couple days ago. Those are the two where I was like, I can't believe I just got on this field. Especially USC, because USC sells tours and they like black out everything. Well, you can't see shit for the Coliseum most days unless you're paying money for a tour. And I went around the whole perimeter of LA Coliseum, and I got to a point where I just saw like a back dock. I saw workers there, and I'm just like, I'm already here, man. I'm in LA. I'm not going to be back anytime soon. So I just said, fuck it. And I just walked straight through these people. I'm just like, if someone tells me to like go away, I'll go away. But if they don't, I'm going to keep moving. And no one told me to go away. That tunnel led right onto the field. I just did my video at the Coliseum. So
That's awesome.
that one I was really, really surprised by. And then Ohio State took some work too. I've had a lot of people tell me Ohio State was impossible before that video. So when you get more comments saying it's impossible, then like you should come here, it's easy. Like that's when you know it's going to be tough. And I was happy I got that one through the hoop.
I'm ready to see you between the hedges. That's going to be a good video for sure.
At Georgia?
Yeah. Have you been
I
down
already,
there?
I bet that video had 2 million views, dog.
Oh my
behind.
gosh.
Oh, he's
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I need to get more on TikTok
Yeah, that was one
Yeah.
of my biggest videos, man. Yeah, the Georgia one was
because
huge.
we did
Stanford's a nice stadium.
man,
Yeah.
whenever we were kids playing AU baseball, we ended up walking onto that field, like ironically, and one of their workers let us on. We didn't walk up to multiple doors and try and figure out which door to get into, but
Yeah.
we ended up doing that. That's one of the sicker fields I've ever been into for sure.
It is.
Dope. Clemson was
Yeah.
dope. Their fans suck though. They give you $2 bills and are nicely obnoxious.
Okay, so let me ask this then. When you're looking forward to the future, are there places where you feel like I have to do this? Like this is a bucket list, trying to sneak into the stadium. For me, I always wanted to go to Hinkle Fieldhouse. I saw it in the movies. That's what I wanted to do. I stayed in an Airbnb like 2 blocks away from Hinkle. Gosh, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I tried everything I could to get in there, and was unable to. What stands out to you is the bucket list one that you're trying for next?
Yeah. First off, you got to go back to Hinkle Fieldhouse because that's usually very open.
Yeah, there was a security guard there, and I told him I just want to get in. I just want to see it. That's it. I just want to experience it. And he said absolutely not. There's no way you can get past here. It's like, all right.
Wow.
Yeah. It was in the middle of the summer too, so it wasn't like there was, probably no basketball practice or anything like that. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, because I did do a video at Butler, and I did get into the field house. And I went, I went there because I was told apparently Hinkle Fieldhouse is like some sort of registered historic landmark where like they keep it open more as like a museum than like a basketball court. Right. So yeah, so they keep that open pretty often. You definitely got to make that trip again.
Okay, it's not too far away, so I'll have to do it.
So actually, while we're on like that subject, as segueing, I mean, obviously, like the walk-on challenge, like a lot of people say, like you can look at it and interpret, like, oh, this dude's just breaking into a stadium. Have you ever gotten like pushback from like security or like law enforcement or something like that when trying to like get into a stadium or something like that?
Not really. Honestly, I think usually the positive engagement trumps me kind of not doing it how the schools would like me to do it. Pretty much after every video, either I hear nothing or I get like positive comments from the school. So
which would you rather have the school invite you and say, hey, we're cool, like to give you an OV, style of a visit, or would you rather them comment on one of your videos and be like, hey bro, we're good if like anytime you want to sneak onto our field, just do it and make your video and we'll share it on social media? So which one of those would you rather have go down?
I think right now I'm starting to gear a little bit more to doing like these full-blown tours.
Yeah.
I think is I'm over 50 schools in on the walk on challenge, man. Like I've done a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so like I think I am at the point where like I think working with these schools and doing like full facility tours and like that's a big thing for me. If I'm gonna work with these schools, like I need them to give me more access than I can get for myself to make it, a
For
different
sure.
video than what I would
Yeah.
normally do. That's the only way it's gonna work. But if they can do that for me, I think that would do more for me at this point than like just doing more and more walk on challenges on being a dead horse with it.
I'm
But
not gonna
with
lie.
that, yeah,
Oh, sorry. When Vince said official visit style, the first thing that popped in my mind is GFed like dressing up in like the uniform, doing like photo shoots.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
yeah, I
that's
mean, and there's like proof of concept for it too. I don't know if you guys know who Destroying is. He's like one of the biggest football YouTubers out there. But he did facility tours for like Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, a few other like big blue blood schools um in the last couple of years, and they did pretty well for him. So I could definitely see myself going down that route, especially since he has like an NFL contract now. And also like he's only done like 7 of those videos in 3 years. So it's like for schools like Louisville or like somewhere like not the top of college football, like when's that ever gonna happen? So I think I could easily fill in the gap there. I actually just bought a pretty nice camera recently and looking to use pretty soon. So that might be something I translate this to sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think, having seen more and more stadiums as I age, and then going back and seeing the transformation, I think the new thing, I was in Miami, I was in Charlotte this year, and seeing what uh, these stadiums have to offer, it's completely different than it was even 10, 15 years ago, right? Like the experience now, it's geared towards the fan. Like it's geared, like it used to be like a Notre Dame stadium or like a Ohio stadium. Like it's just, you go there, you show up, you do your thing, you be a fan, and then you go home. And now it's more about, well, why would we go to a game when you can watch it on in 4K on TV? And I think that's how there's a faction of every fan base that's like that now, and that's going to continue to grow. I mean, especially for like the NFL and like that sort of stuff, you can watch the Red Zone channel and see every single important play, and so it's becoming more and more important to engage with the fans and make it more of a fan experience. You're seeing stadiums get smaller instead of bigger, and so I think for you, going forward, I think that's a huge thing. Is it's going to be about, what does this stadium offer that others don't? Like when I sat down in my seat at Miami, and a guy in a suit and tie came up to me and he's like, "I need to give you a wristband because you can access this area and it has special bathrooms and stuff you can't get anywhere else in the stadium." And so I think that's what it's going to be like going forward for other places as well. So for you, is there going to be, do you plan on the future being like that? Like where, you want to get inside access with, somebody that's high up in the athletic department, get a full tour, show like, this is the cool thing about, Sanford Stadium in Georgia. This is the cool thing about Mercedes-Benz Dome. I don't know why I'm talking Georgia stuff, but this is the cool thing about Neyland Stadium, right? Like, is that kind of like what the next evolution of this is?
I think you're hitting that on the head pretty well. Yeah. I think just kind of once I go to all of these schools, which I still got a lot more schools I haven't been to yet, but I've also been to a good amount at this point too. But kind of when I run my course doing the walk on challenge, I think just going back, using these connections that I built with these schools and just getting more of an all access look, probably with a little bit better production, a little bit better quality and turning a little bit more on multiple platforms is kind of what I'm going to be going for as far as doing that. Maybe they're going to be reaching out to me to specifically highlight a few things that they just, renovated or put out there. But the way that I'm seeing it is like, I mean, right now, at least on TikTok, hopefully I get there on some other platforms, but I'm getting more views to my page than like a lot of these colleges and even pro teams to an extent are getting like video to video. So if I can just be like, hey, this is my one time that I'm going to be in your stadium for the GFed video, make the most of it. I think that people just kind of looking forward to seeing what their schools or what their rival schools like do with the stage that I can give them to be kind of a vehicle to show themselves off. I think is going to be like the compelling part of what I do, on top of just seeing what they have to offer as far as facilities, but also like what they do to contribute to like make this video different than, you know, the other stuff on my page and separate themselves.
Yeah, that's the vision, man. I think that's the next step. And as you know, people who are listening, like I think that that's the natural evolution of this for you, man. Like, you know, that's the first thing I thought of was, you know, Louisville football on Twitter has like 280,000 followers, which is great. That's the same as you, and you're getting more views than them, and they have the top of the line professional video equipment. They're putting, I mean, God knows how much money in these videos. And you're like, what's up? It's GFed. I'm going into the stadium. Like, it's just it's a different mindset. It's like, okay, how do you cut to the core of that? And I think you're doing a perfect job of that. And I think that's why people love this so much, is because you're cutting to the core of the fan experience. You know, it's not like behind the scenes in practice. It's not like, you know, a slow motion tackle or this
Somebody
beautiful
mic'd up.
shot. It's like, all right, here's why the stadium's dope. Here's why you should come here. Like, there's something to be said about that. So I absolutely applaud you
Speaking
for
of
that.
that, chairback seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
get better than chairback seats, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, GFed, let's give us a minute of what's your pitch for the fans. Why should you follow me? And where can we follow you?
If they're not already.
Right, right. I mean, I plain and simple. If you're gonna follow me, you're gonna follow someone that's making sports content like nobody else is making sports content right now. I think that's the biggest pitch that I can give anybody. I'm traveling everywhere. I've been to probably half the states in the U.S. in the last 5 months here, and I got more and more to come. And I just got more and more opportunities coming my way. It goes beyond college football too. This Monday I'm going on a flight to Miami to watch the Dolphins game with the president of the whole team. So like, you know, even
Big
beyond.
Dolphins fan right here.
Have you been seeing my Dolphins content?
I'm a big Dolphins guy. Let's go.
You got
I'll
you
go
got to
with
catch
you.
up with my
You
Dolphins.
need to check out his
content. The
Dolphins content. It's top notch, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm down.
absolutely. Yeah, I just did a video with Jalen Ramsey a couple of weeks ago too. I was in his suite for the Raiders game.
Fuck me. That's my dad's favorite team too, the Raiders. Wow, that's fun. Yeah. Wow.
There you
Yeah,
go.
no,
Keep going. Keep going with your pitch. I'm sorry. I cut you
yeah,
off.
but yeah, I mean that's part of the pitch in and of itself. I mean, even beyond doing the independent stuff, I'm working with teams now. I'm working with athletes now, and the more the followers pick up, the more opportunities I got coming in for that. So, if you want to see a different spin on all these different places, you know, a subjective from a fan and not from, you know, a team's social media account that's going to do everything they can to, you know, get their own teams hyped up and drive in tickets. I think I'm a good place to do that. And I'm a place that's keep growing and growing that has different opportunities coming every week. Where you can find that, TikTok's the biggest following that I got right now. I'm GFed Go Crazy on every platform, but TikTok is what I am there. I have about 285 and some change right now. And I'm building up on all the other platforms too. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'm there as well. So that's where you can find me, GFed Go Crazy, all platforms.
Hell yeah, man. We really appreciate your time. We got to do
For
this
sure.
again. You're an absolute bro. We love it. And now that I know that you're a Michigan guy, like I'm assuming you're a Wolverines guy. Is that right?
No.
No.
Okay. First off, so I went to Western Michigan University. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow to do some content with them. But I'm a Western Michigan University alum, so they take precedence over everybody. But with that being said, I grew up in Lansing, Michigan. So growing up, I was still am giant Michigan State fan. I love Michigan State. So they're before all of this happened, they were my college team as far as like the P5s go.
As a Louisville, and that makes sense because you said you're a huge basketball fan. Michigan State fans. As a Louisville fan, like we got, I wouldn't say we have beef with Michigan and Michigan State, but like it's been a fun like back and forth rivalry with both. So I love that.
Definitely
I
Michigan.
will say Lansing, maybe the quietest airport I've ever been in. in a city. Do you fly to Lansing a lot?
Hell no. Fred's got a flight. Fred's got a flight into Lansing, dude.
Lansing's the only airport I've ever been to. I think I had a flight at like maybe like 3:45 in the afternoon. I was sitting at the bar by myself, nobody with me. I got on my plane and I was the last person getting on the plane. And there was a kid, like he had to be like 17 years old, which, like people who work at like a large airport, like they're career people, like they're waving those batons for their career. This kid was like, yes, let's go. He like dabbed me up. He's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm off. And like literally, we were the last plane to take off, 3:45 in the afternoon. Nobody else was flying out of Lansing, Michigan that night. I loved it. I love Michigan so much. There's so many just like little towns, little intricacies. You make your way up to the Upper Peninsula, and you just have one road to drive on for like 500 miles.
I didn't know people vacationed to Michigan.
Oh, dude, Michigan,
beautiful. In the summer, absolutely.
Yeah, I had no clue. I saw Des Fitzpatrick's dad with that nice ass boat, and I'm like, what?
They're from Michigan.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't know Jacob vacationed up there and everything. So
Michigan's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. You can have
Mackinac Island is beautiful. Yeah,
it's not just like the Great Lakes too. It's the inland. Like if you're like from Michigan, I know more people that go to like the inland lakes than like Lake Michigan, like Torch Lake, Higgins Lake, like all of those up north. So yeah, if you're in Michigan, you find every summer weekend, you find someone with a cottage, you find someone with a boat, and you find a case of beer, and you just make it work. That's a culture.
That's my
hell yeah. See, that's the thing about the United States, right? Like it's everything's the terminology is different, the accent's different, but you and Vince are basically the same person.
Yeah, I mean, you could come hang out over at our lake, and we'd grab a case of beer, and we'd have a great time.
There you go.
There you go. All right, final pitch: Christian Fitzpatrick to Louisville. Let's hear it.
Christian Fitzpatrick to Louisville.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all recruited me.
Happen?
I don't know.
No, it's not.
I'm like my time here. It might take a little bit more than a couple free tickets to a football game to get them, but that's what did it for me.
That's it.
A couple free tickets and some shots of bourbon. That's all it took, baby.
There you go.
I love it. I love it, man. Hey, GFed go crazy on every social media platform. GFed, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to do this again sometime very soon. Until next time, from the Pink Seats podcast, let's get the heck out of here.
Appreciate everybody. Take care.